Yeah, the reason why I had to stop the recording was because it was aiming towards 15 minutes, and there's a 15-minute upload limit onto YouTube. Back to what I was saying in the previous video, where there may have forgotten that orthorexia thing was supposed to be moved into and stay within, let's say, a workplace policy type thing, and it was entering into the public domain, but not with the way we know of as the public domain being associated with, expired copyright. You know what I mean? Then things that were, let's say, able to be, things that are one time restricted to be sold, enter the public domain after the copyright expires, usually 75 to 125 years after the death of the creator of that copywritten material. If no one buys it or takes ownership or inherits the ownership of that copywritten material, then sometimes it enters what is known as the public domain, where, let's say, it could be at a library, and the library wouldn't have to pay a fee in order to loan out whatever it may be, or people would be able to download it for free off the internet, the public domain stuff. Now, I'm not. That's where I went a little off topic with the way I'm using public domain. I'm talking about beyond a workplace into the rest of society in a very disorganized way, where it's actually the word, that definition of orthorexia, is where it's supposed to actually help reduce the amount of effort and time for someone to prepare their meal and then eat it. That within, let's say, if they had to go back to work within a certain amount of time, that's what that definition was intended for, probably. But once it enters beyond the scope of that type of time restricted workplace, and the level of concern over, whether or not someone is maintaining an extra 40 pounds that you really don't even completely need, and it's actually, I if I was still skateboarding, I would have lost my skating career because of having to meet the expectations of the various physicians that were trying to match up my height, my weight for my height according to the body mass index. You see what I'm saying? So I'm dealing with a loss of the career of skateboarding, for instance, being an option. And someone could become clinically depressed due to that. And if, let's say, they were going for treatment for clinical depression, see this is what I'm saying? They were being forced to gain extra weight, and their life of their future career was skating. They skated for 10 years. They're aiming for the, let's say, the Olympics eventually, or the X Games. And then, so they're going for treatment for clinical depression, right? And then they're being told to gain that extra 40 pounds. And then they can't skateboard anymore. That's crossing the line. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's where that whole, instead of it being of a good omen type thing, that orthorexia thing, it's becomes like a computer virus in a way. It's like a biological computer virus, or it is a computer virus, the text based adventure game from the 80s into a computer virus. I mean, a biological one in a way, a psychological biological one. Now, oh yeah, now that whole like confused state, whoever out there is not seeing what I'm explaining, where the line should be restricted, like that orthorexia thing needs to stay within the timeline where the line would be drawn in a thick dark line to not cross the that boundary, and they're crossing it and they don't see it. Well, that them not being able to see where that thick black line is, it's very dangerous. It's perceived very dangerous from those who would be looking at those people who are crossing that line. They're being very dangerous. Yet that's the That's like the not parody, paradoxical type of contradictory type of that. Let's say that their profession was to help those with eating disorders, right? Who would be seen as having an eating disorder because, and then they assume because of someone's height that if they are, let's say, considered 40 pounds under the body mass index limit for their height, yet they have a professional career in skateboarding or they're aiming towards that, and let's say they're clinically depressed, and okay, let's say they want to leave their treatment, right? And they start feeling better, their depression's going away. And let's say they didn't gain that, they don't need to gain that extra 40 pounds. They're back on their skateboard, right? They're doing their stunts. They're those who know them, they see them doing their okay. They can still do 20 push-ups. And then you got these people on the outside soliciting based off of a video like my morning calisthenics in my beautiful apartment that I had. You know, I was doing a 20 push-up demonstration, and then they it's like a Rosa Parks type thing. You must sit on the back of the bus type. Like they had, it's like they have to because they think that someone is too skinny. Well, okay, if there goes Trans World Skateboarding magazine, you know what I mean? Like there goes all the skating videos out there. You know, there goes the Nike shoe brand that just came out with skateboarding shoes, and I think it was like in the early 2000s, like 2005. I think that's when they were starting to make skateboarding shoes intended for skateboarding. Now, yeah, and then their sponsors would be pissed off and their agents. So, but that level of, see, where those people who work in the professional field for treating people with, let's say, eating disorders, where they constantly can't draw that line of understanding that there are tall, skinny guys that, you know, they skated for 10 years while growing up. So their bodies are like, you know, they are usually tall and slender, and they stay stunted in a way. They become stunted. The word is stunted because of the muscular development and the type of, you know, cardiovascular type of exercise that they do. I used to skate from morning till night, and from, let's say, it was 10 o'clock in the morning until 9 at night for 10 years while I was growing up. I was always outside. I was always outside. Then I had to become more focused with my web development skills. So I had to stay indoors a lot of the time. I used to go to bookstores at night and things like that. I used to hang out at an art park up in northern New Jersey with my friends at night, late at night, and then I'd go home and I'd study sometimes. And then I'd wake up in the afternoon, falling under the category of what we had to hear during a high school gymnasium assembly, where a group of other adults at the time when we were teenagers, we had to be the whole school had to hear about them making fun about people going out to parties at night in their 20s and then coming home and sleeping till the afternoon and listening to a specific type of rave music from the 90s. They're making fun of those people and saying that they were not going to be successful in anything or something. All right. So the ones who are supposed to be professional are supposed to know what the word professional is, where they're supposed to stay. Um, it's like if they know something, it's just parallel with workplace policy. If they want to stick with their profession, they have to follow the workplace policy. Otherwise, they're not being professional. They have to parallel that with what I'm talking about, where it's like they have to be able to be a good determinant of whether or not to not go beyond the scope of their building into someone's private life and interfere with their general life, because and you see what I'm saying. And also the fact of where it's like I get this sense that there's someone out there, and there are people who are have a chemical imbalance, like where they similar to what I'm about to explain, where it's like they're delusional or something. It's like I'm in my private, like right now I'm in my mother's bedroom. I'm drinking my special lemonade mandarin orange drink, B6 booster, and peanut butter with vegan chocolate chips and preserves made with coconut oil and powdered peanut butter, homemade. And it's like they're so upset that I'm using the word obsessed, and they work in the department to treat those with, let's say, an obsession with things sometimes. And they're the ones that have, and I'm like, wait, so you're going, it's like I'm the doctor now, and you're requesting the doctor to leave his house to go to work to provide treatment to the doctor who's zeroing in too much on my life because they have an obsessive compulsive disorder issue or something, or they are just too obsessed or beyond the scope of that, and it's interfering with their work. You see, that's what I'm trying to say. And then the new definition of, instead of orthorexia, is something relating to that. And another thing that would fall into that category is to the point where it's like you're under my house, my rules. I'm secretly paying for your taxes. I'm secretly doing work behind your family's back, writing tax forms for you. So you have to listen to us because we're on the exterior, just like a box around your house. Like, you see what I'm saying? No. There, then no, because they're causing injurious harm to those. It's beyond the scope of, like, all right, they're causing affliction, basically. It's too much control. It's like, wait, I live with my mother. You're not my mother, nor are you my father. And you have no say with restricting my adult rights within my private property that any other adult would be able to have. You see what I'm saying? Just because you can look, like, just because you're hacking into the Xfinity security system and looking through, let's say, a special camera that was installed into the button of, let's say, the modem, and they think they're doing a gray legal area thing by going through the Xfinity security system and saying, "Oh, some person working there that wasn't." I don't know. I could check if I really wanted to. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying you gotta keep your eye out for crazy something like where it's completely unethical, obviously, whatever.